In this video, I'm going to show you how I make cinematic title sequences in under 5 minutes. We're going to be using Photoshop for a majority of the tutorial, and then we're going to bring it into Premiere Pro and sauce it up just a little bit more to make it stand out. Before we get into the video, my name is Bryan and I help millions of creators just like yourself online by making educational content. I have amazing editing packs and presets that I'll have linked down below, as well as my private community where I teach creators how to build a passive income selling digital products and build their personal brand all at the same time. There's weekly live calls with me, as well as a course and a bunch more value inside. I'll have both of those linked down below, my editing assets and my private community. Let's get into the video. So the thing I struggle with the most when making cinematic title sequences is the ideation phase, kind of understanding what our title is going to look like, different fonts, and just finding out like different ways to have stuff lined up. So a tool that I've found that helps me out a lot are these title cards by Tiny Tapes. There's 45 done for you like Photoshop files, and as you can see, we have a few pulled up. This one's my favorite, and I think we're going to go with this for the tutorial, but I opened up a handful of them just to kind of get an idea of what our titles could look like. And this is what I really struggle with when I'm creating title sequences, is a lot of the fonts and stuff like are hard to find, and it's just nice to have something kind of done for you so you can get an idea of what your title could look like. I definitely want to go with this one, but I don't think our title is going to look exactly like this. We're actually going to go through and change some stuff up, but it's really good to have nice starting points. That way you can like kind of reference what your title could look like, and then we're going to morph it into something exactly like what we want. You can see I'm going through a few more. I do really like this one as well, but I think we're going to go with that Money Talks one just because I feel like it fits the video a little bit better. I'll have the link to download all 45 titles in the description, and if you use code Bryan at checkout, you'll get $5 off your order. That way you get all 45 titles for like right around 25 bucks, which is an absolute steal, because if you use it in just one video, it already pays for itself. Like I said, I'll have it linked down below. That way you can download it and follow along. So we're already at a really good starting point, but a great way to visualize what it's going to look like on your video is actually bring a screenshot from the video into here. That way we can play around with it, move it, add some effects, add some drop shadows, whatever we need to do to make it fit our video. So in Premiere Pro, I want the title sequence to play here over like the majority of the clip and just like take up the first like 10 seconds before the beat drops. So let's go ahead and just start framing it by this opening frame. And we're gonna go ahead and export the frame as a screenshot. And then I'm gonna save it as a JPEG. If you don't see the export frame button, you can add it by going to this button editor and dragging it down, or you can hit Control-Shift-E. So I opened up our screenshot in Photoshop, and now we just need to go ahead and copy and paste our assets. So this Money Talks here and the text we wanna carry over. So I'm just gonna control click on both of those and hit Control-C, and then paste it into our timeline. And I think I want this a little bit bigger. And as you can see, this is a smart object with some noise and some Gaussian blur on it. So you can see it already has nice effects here, and we can actually replace our text if we double click on the image. And let's go ahead and type band for band because that's the song name. And then if you hit Control S to save it, when we go back here, it will automatically be changed. And then while selected on the move tool, if you go up here to these 3 dots and change align to canvas and click on your text layer, you can align it centered. And we're gonna do that with this as well. I really like the way band for band looks, but this text down here is way too small and I just think it's gonna get lost. So what we can do is let's go ahead and find a different font that we wanna use. Maybe something like Azo Sans. And then I'm gonna scale it up by highlighting the text up here, and then on my keyboard using the up arrow key going up to scale it up to a size that I want. And maybe something like that might look a little bit better. I also think a different color, maybe like more of that Central C like text color that he uses all the time, like this orange, might look a little bit better. So let's go ahead and make a little bit of like an orange to kind of play around with the red as well. So I'm just gonna go through and replace some of these words like Central C, Little Baby, titles by Bryan. You can go through and replace it with whatever you want. And I already think we're pretty much there, but I do want to add a little bit more separation between the title and the background. So I'm going to control click on both of these layers and then make it into a group. And then on that group, by double clicking, I'm going to bring up drop shadow and just add a really slight drop shadow just to separate it a little bit more. Maybe something like 35%. Played around with the size, and then if we toggle that on and off, you can see how there's just a little bit more separation between the background and the text. And now it's time to transfer it over to Premiere Pro. So to do that, I'm going to turn off the background layer, go up to File, Save as Copy, and change it as a PNG. That way we have that transparent background. And let's name this Title. So in Premiere Pro, just import that PNG title and then drag it out to the length that you want. And you can see we already have a pretty solid looking title sequence. There's a few things that I'm gonna do just to add a little bit more movement, make it feel a little bit more cinematic. And the first one is adding Heatwave, Universe Heatwave onto our text. I'm gonna change the blur amount to something like 20, and then the speed as well to 20. And it just adds a little bit of motion to the text, makes it feel a little bit more cinematic and just like kind of like it's interacting with the footage. Another one I like to add on is noise. Just a little bit of slight noise on top of that heat wave. I'm gonna turn off color noise and make it like 10% or something like that. That way it's very slight, but it just adds a little bit more movement to the text. And if you wanna add a little bit of movement to it just to make it feel like a little less static, you can add on the transform effect. That way you can add some motion blur. And if you uncheck use shutter angle and change that shutter angle to 180, you can keyframe the scale to maybe just scale in throughout. And if you want to smooth out that motion, you can click on both of them, right click and go to Bezier. And that's just gonna make the movement a little less linear and just kind of like flow a little bit better. If you made it to the end of the video and you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that. That way you don't miss out on future videos. And if you want the title sequence pack that I used in this video, I'll have it linked down below. Use code Bryan at checkout and you'll get $5 off, as well as 40+ cinematic title sequence templates. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. Peace.